Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Conscious Conversations interview series with Psych-k facilitators from all around the globe. Today, we're joined with Jakob Casella from Sydney. Jakob, thank you so much for joining us today, buddy. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me, Alex.
Awesome. Well, welcome. You are the mindful coach, so you've implemented Psych-k into your already existing coaching business.
Yeah.
Perhaps you could start by just sharing your story and where you've come from, how Psych-k came to you and how it's helped you so far.
Yeah. Well, so I did a degree in coaching, this is a degree that not many people in Australia have done. It kind of starts off with a couple of years of counselling and some basic psychology and finishes off with coaching. So it was an amazing degree, and it was a huge amount of personal development for me as I went through that degree. And when I finished, I started a private practice. I specialized in something called ACT, which was kind of a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. And that's what I ran with for many years. My private practice was about supporting people to implement mindfulness skills and use mindfulness and awareness to be able to help themselves to see what was really important, to calm down, and to take action in certain parts of their lives. So that's where I started, and alongside that, I worked in homelessness for about 4 years as a case manager, supporting people that were at risk of being homeless. So they weren't homeless yet, but they were very close, and my role was to go into their homes and to go into their lives and to really help them to put plans together. So it was really a kind of coaching role. I was putting plans together on what we could do and how they could make changes to be able to get better housing situations and hopefully not become homeless. Or if they did, it was kind of how to support them down that road. So I was doing my coaching on the side, and I was doing homelessness work 4 days a week. And that was up until earlier this year, early 2019, that I was doing that work. And Psych-k kind of started to make its way into my life. Then I basically was searching for something more. I felt that the work I was doing was powerful, that I was helping people. But I wanted to help them on a deeper level. I wanted to help them in ways that I wasn't able to, and I just didn't have the faith in the modalities that I was using, both with my private practice and also with the work I was doing in the homeless kind of space. I just felt like I was making some changes, but I wanted something bigger and deeper, and something that was, I suppose, going to really propel them forward in their lives. And one morning I'd been online, I'd been researching if I was going to do another degree, if I was going to do some study in some different things. And one morning I just walked into the bedroom. My wife said to me, "Have you heard about Psych-k?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, it's blowing up at the moment. It's massive over in the States." She follows a lot of stuff that's happening over on the West Coast. And she sent me a few articles and said, "Have a look. This might be like exactly what you're looking for." And it really was. It was like, since I started researching it and got super excited, started watching some videos and found that there was a course happening in the not so distant future in Sydney. So I kind of did whatever I can to shuffle things around to get into that basic course, which I did with Ian Spicer from Life Force Events here in Sydney. And it was pretty life-changing stuff, really. It was definitely not what I expected when I walked in there. And when I walked out of there, it was more than I could have ever dreamed of, really. And as soon as I left, super inspired, and had just read, I was reading Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief at the same time as doing the course. So I was trying to cram in as much information as possible. And I kind of left. I I left the basic workshop, and I'd just done so many subconscious upgrades. Like, I just done so much work on myself, and things slowly started to shift in my life. And it was only a few weeks later, I was in Melbourne, and I was sitting at dinner with my wife. We were having a wine, and it was our last night in Melbourne. And I said, I could quit my job when we get home. And she's like, yeah, you could. And I was like, oh, I couldn't though. It's too scary. Like, there's all that, financial support that this role's giving me. I can't quit. I don't know if I'm going to be good enough to go out and, my private practice is going to be able to support me enough, and so I sat with it, and I went back home, and I went back to work, and as life does, stuff just started not going that right at work for me. Some relationships that I had with staff and things kind of broke down, and I just kept getting all these pointers in the direction that it was time for me to move on. I kind of done a huge upgrade on a range of different levels, and I changed a whole heap of beliefs that were kind of keeping me safe, especially beliefs around money and my worth and my power. And I was already practicing Psych-k. I kind of reached out and just grabbed all friends, family, people that I knew, so I could just practice as much as possible. I was getting really good results, and I was starting to do some work on myself, especially the stuff around money. And I went kind of deep, and I did some work, especially around what I realized. I had some big blocks, and I might tell you a little bit of, might give you an example here of exactly the power of this and how it works. But what I realized was I had some big blocks in programming around money. My dad was a really successful small business owner, but he worked 6 days a week, and my parents, their relationship broke down when I was younger. Mm. And what I realized was through doing this work, this subconscious work, and really looking at what was my programming before the age of 7, and I suppose the programming I got was that in order to be successful and have a successful business, you also would need to lose family, or you need to give a lot of your time up. You need to work really hard. So I had all these levels of belief around what it would be like to be successful and things that were holding me back. So I basically went in and started doing the work, and I started looking at what all those stories were, and I started doing my own reprogramming, using Psych-k to change these subconscious beliefs that were holding me back. It was around money, and it was around career, and it was around power. And basically I started getting offered little bits of work, and my Psych-k private practice just started building enough that I felt safe enough to jump off a cliff, and that cliff was to quit that job. And I was getting forced towards that cliff every day I turned up to that job. So I finally made that call, and within 2 weeks, I decided that was it. I was out of there, and basically I left the role, and ever since then, I can't even tell you how much the universe has just absolutely supported me. As I've supported myself with doing all the work, the most amazing little bits of work have just popped up for me that have just been able to keep me afloat, that are way more aligned to what I'm doing. I'm now back at uni, and I'm teaching life coaching at the same uni that I went to, and that was a role that just found its way to me. I didn't even apply for it, and my private practice has grown to a place that I'm really proud of at the moment, and I'm able to really shift some big things in some people's lives. And I'm working with some young people and some old people, and some people that are around about my age, and just getting amazing results and hearing amazing stories and big thank yous. And it's rewarding stuff, and it's powerful stuff. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. 2019 has been an interesting journey.
I think it's been a big year for a lot of us, and especially a lot of people who I've spoken to so far. It's been a year of letting go of things that aren't in alignment with where we want to go and who we want to be. I know certainly for
Yeah.
myself, I've experienced that in a big way too. This isn't about me; it's about you. So thank you so much for sharing that, man. You're part of one of many people who have experienced things like that, and the universe has funny ways of aligning us with where we're meant to be and what we're meant to be doing. So cool to hear that, and I love listening to the stories, and I love immersing myself in other people's experiences of how their life has just transformed just by looking at what it is that we've been creating for ourselves and making those changes. Do you have any examples of, because there's some massive shifts to move from being too scared to leave your job to all of a sudden being offered jobs and given jobs, and now you're teaching at the university you studied at. That's a huge shift in a year. Do you perhaps have some examples of some of the goal statements that you were working with and the beliefs that you were changing, just so that our viewers can understand what it is and maybe they can relate to some of the things that they were experiencing?
I think for me, the first part was actually like uncovering that and understanding the kind of role in that. And I think for me, the most powerful goal statements are the one around safety, because I believe everything comes down to safety. It's like on a subconscious level, we feel unsafe. And we feel unsafe because anything that's going against our subconscious programming is like unsafe. That's kind of like what happens. So the ones that it's safe for me, it's safe for me to be wildly abundant. It's safe for me to, live the life that I truly want. A lot of stuff around safety was a lot of the work that I did. And also the things like it's safe for me to be a small business owner. And I think a lot of the things my dad told me was that it's really hard to be a small business owner. That he said to me, go work for other people. It's way easier. They pay you your super and your holidays. And when you leave work at the end of the day, it's done. And he really, wanted what was best for me in that place. But again, that the blocks were that it's hard to be a small business owner. And so I did a lot of work around it's easy for me. It's easy and fun for me to own my own business, to run my own business, to be successful in my own business. That clients are attracted to working with me. The clients that I can help are attracted to working with me. It's been a big area of work for me. And yeah, the shifts that have happened have been pretty special. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I've really allowed it. Yeah, that just allowed me to take control of my life, basically.
Be that co-creator and the architect of your own mind. And it's not just your father that would be saying that either. That's a serious, and especially here in Australia, there's some serious society conditioning and cultural conditioning that it is hard. You hear it so much that it's hard and it's not for the faint of heart. And although you're probably still receiving the challenges and you're still being encouraged to grow, it doesn't have to be those moments where we break down and it's saying this is too hard. We enjoy the process of growing a bit more. And I know for me personally, sometimes I get to a moment where I can't even do it anymore. I sort of need to have a sit back and just honor my place in my journey and be there and just know that, okay, this is a challenge and I'm being tested and I can grow through this whenever I choose to actually change how I'm perceiving this situation. I know that's what I really love about Psych-k is we have the tools whenever because the victim talk, I don't know about you, the victim talk still comes in for me to be able to change that right there and then, to recognize and be aware, okay, I'm being a victim of the situation here and I can change that straight away. Because we receive that conditioning so much, not just from our families. I know it is a big one, those first prenatal, those natal years of 0 to 7, but we're constantly being reprogrammed as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's really cool. So what kind of clients do you actually work with? What's your ideal person? Who do you generally attract into your coaching business?
Yeah, I work a lot with people in their 30s and 40s at the moment. Generally, people that really want to I mean, it's funny, the things that often come up, they're often about finding ideal partners and like finding soulmates and any blocks around relationships, because that's a massive one for people. And so much unhelpful programming from society and from family and things we've picked up from our experiences in relationships along the way. So relationships is a big one. And the other one is about purpose. So, all stuff around moving into a career that they truly, deeply desire, following Dharma path, starting a small business maybe, all the blocks that hold people back in that area of doing what they truly want to do with their lives. And then, the self-worth piece always comes up. There's always work to do around self-worth and feeling worthy of having the life that people truly desire. Work around wealth and abundance is another really big one at the moment. And the other one that I've got some amazing outcomes with is around phobias and anxiety. Basically using a lot of stress transformation, but really being able to help people change things that they've gone and seen psychologists and psychiatrists about and have not been able to shift because they're working on that conscious level, and they're just not going to be able to shift something that's in the subconscious. So that's been really amazing to be able to shift stuff that others have not been able to.
And they change in a really big way. I was watching a friend of mine. I haven't had the session with him yet. I keep encouraging him. He went live on Facebook. He's a New Zealand fella, and he had his first encounter with a huntsman. He lives in an apartment, and there was about a 20-minute video of him trying to get this huntsman out of his house. And like I said, because I used to be scared of spiders as well, and now I've done the work around it, and I'll get a little cup and I'll put the cup over it, slide a bit of paper, coming in, I look at him, I'm like, wow, it's such a cool creature. But he was terrified. I could feel his fear, and he was making all these body movements and going, and I know exactly where he's coming from. That body response from a phobia or fear, and we can clear those out in just such a short space of time, in just one session, to not be affected and have that dump of negative toxic chemicals into the body as a result of being in that fight or flight mode. So it's really fun to work with phobias as well, because they're quite recognizable too. Yeah,
definitely.
Have you dealt with any of your own phobias? Have you worked with that yourself?
I don't really have many phobias. Stuff like working on camera and stuff's been not a phobia, but been a challenge for me in the past, and here I am. So I've been working on those kind of things. But one of the biggest wins I've had so far in terms of working with phobias was with a 12-year-old that I'm working with, and he's the youngest person that I've worked with, and he's been super open to Psych-k because he has been through everything and not been able to get any changes in his life. And this young guy, his father lives over in the States, and the family live here in Australia, and he goes over there with his brother and sisters every school holidays. But 2 school holidays ago, he actually couldn't get on the plane because his fear of flying was so bad that he ended up having to not go see his dad and stay here in Australia and spend the holidays with grandma, which was pretty tough for him. And that's when his parents decided to call me in, and basically we did 2 sessions. They went for about 20 minutes each, because with you being a young guy and attention span and stuff, that's kind of what we could get through. And they also weren't weren't the perfect Psych-k sessions. You know, not everything went exactly how it would have, you know, in the training. And but what was great was we got weak responses at the beginning, we got strong responses at the end. And after those 2 sessions, he got on that plane. He got 2 planes, one over to, I think, Dallas, and then one to New York. And on the way back to Dallas and back to New York. So we've got on 4 planes. I checked in with him. He's going again this weekend over for the next school holidays. And I checked in. I said, "Where you at with that, mate?" He said, "It's a 2 or a 3 out of 10. Like, we don't even have to worry about working on that. There's other stuff to work on." So yeah, look, his parents are stoked. He's stoked, and I'm really happy to be able to help someone on that level. And it's just something I could never have done using a coaching, you know, a coaching method, a conscious method. I just don't think it's possible to be able to make that kind of change. Yeah.
In 40 minutes. 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So I just want to take a moment and just sit in that. That's like, to be able to help a kid be connected with his father. That's really cool. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing that. I'm really grateful for that. That's beautiful. And it is so rewarding to be involved in that. So it's really nice. Okay, cool. So we're moving forward, new decade next year. What can we expect to see from you, Jakob, and the mindful coach?
Yeah. I've actually got my visioning day set up for this Saturday. I'm taking a day and some big pieces of paper and every little Psych-k tool and other little tools, and I'm really going to work through what exactly that looks like. But I kind of know, I know deep in, I suppose I know on some level already what that's going to look like, and it's going to look like a really busy year supporting clients with this work. And for me, I've learned so much in 2019. It's going to be a lot more about putting this stuff into practice, practicing all those balances, even the ones that you know, I'm not as confident in. I'm doing some work over Skype now, so using surrogation to do some of these sessions and getting amazing results. So you know, that's fantastic. So hopefully a lot more sessions with people overseas. I suppose in a personal way, like it's been a really busy kind of 2019, especially the last couple months. And I really want to set 2020 out in a way that I have this beautiful space, you know, that I kind of have certain days that I'm practicing, certain days where I'm teaching at uni. And I've got space to really enjoy life, because that's the most important thing for me. I did some work in the Divine Integration workshop, which was all about connecting with my higher self, and I found that my higher self cares the thing he cares about the most is joy, is experiencing joy, and I want to make time for joy, and you know, getting out and exercising and enjoying the sunshine and the beach and all that kind of thing. 2020, that's kind of what it's going to look like on a personal, professional kind of level. I'm going to be working with my wife as well to start running some workshops, which is something we've always wanted to do. She's a sound healer and a breathwork facilitator. And so we're going to be running some stuff together with people, which I'm super excited about. Something that, you know, basically the stuff that we do at home together and the stuff that we work through in our lives, we're going to take that out and actually offer that and show people some of the stuff that we do. So really excited about that as well.
Awesome, man. Sounds really exciting, and it sounds like it's going to be easy, because that's what you programmed your mind for it to be. And it's so important for us to give first to ourselves, so that then we can continue to give out. I think that's something that a lot of us lose sight of, is taking care of ourselves and doing the things and enjoying the things that we do, and not feeling guilty about taking time for ourselves. So it's really cool. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so how can people find you? I know you're on social media and Instagram, and you have a website.
Yep. Yep. So on Instagram, I am at I am the mindful coach. I am www.themindfulcoach.com.au. And I think on Facebook, it's also I am the mindful coach as well. Get in touch. Let me know if you want to have a chat about anything. I love talking about this stuff. I love supporting people. I've only just really I only started social media a couple of months ago, really, only just after my basic workshop. So it's something that I'm working towards. And I'm actually enjoying it. I'm really enjoying being able to, whatever's going on in my life and whatever happens with clients, being able to put that out. And I'm at the moment recording a whole heap of little videos. So I'll be doing a lot more stuff over video and sharing that with you all over the next couple of weeks and months.
Awesome. I really look forward to following you and keeping up to date with what's going on in your life. It sounds like you're a mighty man, Jakob, and you're doing some amazing things. So thank you so much for joining us today. Perhaps you could give us just one piece of a takeaway, one piece of advice, or something you implement in your life that's really helped you for the people that are watching, and maybe that they can take away and implement in their own life.
I suppose it goes, the first thing that comes to mind is we had a little pre-chat about this, but it's all about ease, and you mentioned it before. It's really just asking yourself, where in my life do things flow with ease? Because that's a sign of good subconscious programming. And where are things hard? Where are things challenging? And where are things not flowing? And that being a little bit of an indicator of there being some work for you to do there. That's the first thing that really comes to mind for me. And I suppose the second thing is using your triggers and using what comes up for you in your life. And every time you feel that reaction in the body, that's normal and natural for us all to feel, but to use that as your kind of indicator of what work you need to do next. That's the work that I've been doing recently, is just being really aware of when I have been triggered, even if it's a teeny tiny little bit, maybe triggered, maybe just a little bit. I think I don't want to really admit it, but I think I was just a tiny bit triggered. I usually, just when that happens, I find somewhere that's quiet and I take whole brain posture and I really feel into that. And once I'm able to kind of transform the stress around that, I have a bit of a look at where have these same emotions come up earlier in my life. And then I just keep asking myself that question, going back and looking at where these same emotions, same dynamics have played out, because these triggers, I believe that these triggers, these strong emotional reactions show up for us to point us in the direction of what we need to heal and work on and reprogram next. And if we don't do that, they'll just keep showing up again, because innately we want to be the best versions of ourselves, and they will keep showing up and we'll keep attracting situations to ourselves time and time again in the hopes that we can work through and process them. And since doing that, and since actually doing the work in this way, I'm finding that things that used to affect me just don't affect me anymore. And yeah, there's something new, because there's always something to work on. And yeah, I suppose trying to get to a place of gratitude for these things coming up in our lives, which is, it's a hard place to get to. But just knowing that there's always learning behind them.
Aligning with that growth mindset, it's so important.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Well, this has been a pleasure. It's been awesome chatting to another young male as well, another young conscious male. I'd love to find more men to talk to about this. So I know within especially most of the people I've spoken to so far have been females. So thank you so much for joining us. I know one of the things you said was you were working on being visible and getting yourself on video. So it's a perfect experience, and you're going to learn a lot watching yourself back, and I'm sure you'll get plenty of things to balance. But this has been an absolute pleasure to join with you today, Jakob. Thank you so much for coming on here with me.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing what comes in the future and continuing to allow this relationship to grow. But
yeah.
Today for me, that's it. Thank you so much for everyone for watching. This is Alexi J. McDonald from Above and Beyond Reality signing out for today's interview. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you all, and thank you, Jacob. See you guys.